Hello, everyone. Great seeing you, everyone. Just going to give some time until people are joining. Hope everyone is having a great day. Let me know if you guys can, I hope you can all send messages. I would love to see the messages as we go. So I hope you can see that. If not, let me know and I can change the settings here. Oh, it looks like the chat is not was not able disabled. Let me see now. A new one. Let me see if you can now. I think the chat is now live. Great. Right. Just a few more minutes. Have a lot going on today. I want to be sharing some resume examples with you, some LinkedIn options. Also, please share. It looks like the chat is still not available, but as you join, I would like for you to send your LinkedIn profile if you want me to review your LinkedIn live here today. So let's see. Let me just make sure that this is available for everyone. Yeah, chat is available. Okay. All right, I think we're good to go now. Thanks for the heads up. Hi, Chris, Gabby, Rogério. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And let's just I'll be sharing my screen. We're going to start talking about building your career in Canada. All right, so just give me a thumbs up if everyone can see my screen and can hear me well. Just see Julia, Manolo. Hello. Just give me a thumbs up if you guys can see that. All right. Okay, seems like we're good. All right, so I want to talk about building your career in Canada. What does that mean, guys? We're going to be having a very practical conversation today about the job market in Canada right now, which we know it's not very easy. We're going to be talking about networking, resume, LinkedIn profiles, and about how you really make an impact in Canada through your interviews, through networking, and by getting to know people. So let's just get started. This is a little bit of what we're going to be talking. I will open for Q&A, especially at the end. However, Thaisa is also on the call. She works with me. I'm sure many of you know. So if you do have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. She's going to be helping moderating those questions. So she might be able to respond to you while we're having this conversation. If not, I'll go over at the end of the talk, and we're going to talk a little bit about the questions you might have. So yes, please come with questions. All right. Okay. So let me just introduce myself first. My name is Marina. Many of you know me already, so it's great to see some familiar faces, but the ones who don't know me yet, let me introduce myself and the reason why I'm here and why I'm talking about this. I am an organizational psychologist. I'm originally from Brazil, and I've been living in Canada the last 13, 14 years. I have an MBA in human resources, and I've been working in HR, talent acquisition, recruiting, people and culture for almost 20 years now. So it's been 19 years that I've been doing this since high school. Since university, not high school, since university. And I absolutely love what I do. I love HR. I love talk about career. I love talk about recruiting and kind of like helping people to, understand what's going on. I've worked at Accenture, at CIBC, at tech startups, so big organizations, small organizations. And after a few years in corporate, I decided to open my own company in 2023, which is Vida, Career Consulting and HR Consulting. So I support companies and HR matters, and I am a recruiter for them. I develop HR programs, but I also support individuals. So people like you who are here today that want to know more about career planning, who want to optimize their LinkedIn, they want to know about networking strategies, interview preparation. So the fact that I've been in the market for that amount of time, and I still am in HR, helps me to bridge the gap and understand, okay, as a recruiter, this is what I'm looking for. So I go and talk to my clients how you can bridge that gap and how you can be seen by recruiters. And that's what we're going to be talking today. The Canadian market has changed. We all know that. It is way more competitive than it was a few years ago, especially during pandemic. There was a boom, and it was a very employee driven market. But with the market being more competitive, it's also stagnant. Okay. So I've been in some conferences and I've been reading a few articles. I went to the Canadian website and the stats. What I'm seeing right now is the average time to find a qualified job in Canada right now, it's 6 to 9 months. Okay. However, the turnover rate is below the healthy standards. What does that mean? It's taking longer for people to find jobs. And here I'm finding qualified jobs. And what I mean by qualified jobs here, I mean corporate jobs. I mean jobs where it's required a graduation, where it's required some skills and experience for you to perform. The turnover rate is below what is expected. There is a natural turnover. Turnover is the amount of people that leave a company, the amount of people that join a company. That is normal to see that movement in the market. But what we're seeing is there is this stagnation. What does that mean? It means that the companies are afraid. They are taking a conservative approach. We all know Canadians tend to be more conservative, but we're seeing that the companies are being more conservative towards hiring, but employees are also being conservative about their careers. So they're staying put. We're calling this the quiet staying. So people continue staying in their jobs even though they're not really happy about it because they are afraid of going out there because they don't know what they're going to find. Okay, that's why we're seeing that amount of time. What is the data showing us? And this is, I'm sorry if this is too small for you right now, but the data that I want to point out is that fourth column here, if you see the blue bar, it's really high. This bar, it's telling me that immigrant professionals, especially the ones that are arriving in Canada from 0 to 5 years, they tend to take underqualified jobs in their first 5 years. And look at the amount compared to the other, these are Canadians, these are other, I'm just going to open here. So they consider themselves overqualified for the roles. So that means they end up taking underqualified roles in their first 5 years. And it's a significant amount compared to others. Okay. The red one here, those are immigrants that have been in Canada for 5 to 10 years. So what does that data show me? It's showing me that from 0 to 5, immigrants tend to take jobs that they are overqualified for, okay, because they need to get into the market. They are desperate. They just arrived in Canada. They need to get into the market. However, after the fifth year, they tend to be more aligned with the market. Obviously, there are cultural aspects. There's the English, the speaking language, but there's also the confidence, and there is also how you navigate the market. So my point is, if you know the market and if you know how to get there, you can probably shorten that time to be less than 5 years. So you can very quickly be in a qualified role. Okay. And I'm talking this by experience. When I moved here, again, 13 years ago, I immediately went to a recruiting role, which it was a lateral move for me in terms of being in the same area. I was already in HR and recruiting. However, it was in a recruiting agency. It was a lower level role that I had back in Brazil. So yes, I was overqualified for that role. However, in 8 months, I was called by Accenture, and then I joined Accenture already as a consultant. So then within, I want to say, 1 to 2 years, I was already at the level that I was back in Brazil. So what I'm trying to say here is that once you know how to navigate the market and what you need to do, you can shorten that time. And the second graphic that I want to show here, these are all data from the Stats Canada, and I pulled that this week, and this is related to May 2026. So this is very fresh data. They're telling me what is the monthly employment change by industry. So you can see a huge change here in construction. I mean, it's summer. We all know everyone is doing construction renovations right now, so that's kind of obvious. But I want to point it out here to the bottom ones. So business and other supporting services, it's very, very low. And I understand that the majority of you here today, you are in this category, unfortunately, right? Which means that not a lot of new roles were created in this past month. Okay. So, what do we need to do? And why people tend to take way longer in this current job market? Because they don't understand the market. They end up applying without a strategy. They have a misaligned resume. A lot of you are from Latin America. I understand that. So a lot of you come with the resume that you had back home, and it's not exactly the same one that we use here in Canada. You don't want to do networking. You don't want to talk to people, and many of you come like, oh, but I don't know anyone. That's okay. There are ways that we can get there. Okay, and the most important thing, you don't make the interview's life easier. This is key. Again, talking as a recruiter as well, it's very important for me to make the interviewer life easier. And this can be taught, okay? This can be something that we can show how to do it. What it makes a difference today? Today, if you have marketing clarity, if you have a career strategy, if you know how to network, if you know how to position yourself, and if you're not applying to 100 roles without focus, you're most likely getting a role within less that time frame that I told you, which is 6 to 9 months. Okay. So actually, I want to, if you can just type in the chat, if you are job searching right now, how long have you been job searching? Just so we can kind of like have an idea here from this group of people and just see how we are in terms of time frame. What I want to show you is actually the clients that I usually work with. We've pulled the data from last year. This is last year only. 70% of the clients that we worked with, they were able to find a job from 3 to 5 months. So this is a way shorter time than we are seeing in the market. Okay, so that's super important to highlight. And actually, 25% of them was actually less than 2 months. So there are things that we can do. I see people here saying 6 months last year and a few months right now. So yes, there are. It's been a while, right? So right now, which is absolutely great. So you have time. What I want to talk about now is how the process works in Canada. So again, for you to understand the market and for you to be able to be strategic about it, you need to understand how things will happen. Again, this is my point of view as a recruiter, as an HR professional talking to you. This is how we process. This is how things will move forward in your application. Okay. Sorry. Oh, For some reason, the clicks are not, let me see if it's, yeah, there you go. Okay, once you go, let's think about it, okay? I want you to start imagining. You open LinkedIn or you open Indeed and you apply for a role. As soon as you apply for this role, 2 to 5% of the applicants are called for an interview. There you go. There's already a huge cut right here. And why? Many reasons. Okay. It can be that there's not a fit, maybe because AI already filter you out. It can be many reasons. Maybe because they have many applicants. Maybe they already had someone aligned for this role. All right. Okay. Once you apply for this role, me as a recruiter, I have a system which is called ATS, which is Applicant Tracking System. That ATS receives all the applications and it filters and it organizes that data for me as a recruiter. So I'm going to tell the ATS, I'm going to tell the system what I'm looking for, and the ATS will filter that information for me. So it will tell me if you are qualified or not. And there are some automated rules that will do for you that sometimes I don't even touch. So for example, referrals get priority. At Accenture, for example, when I was a recruiting lead at Accenture, we had a mandate that we needed to review all referral candidates first. And all referrals, when they came in the system in my ATS, they would have a little star right beside their names, which tells me that I needed to filter by those stars first and I needed to review the referrals first. So that's why I always say, try and get a referral. Talk to people, because that is what is going to make a difference. Because again, if you just rely on the application, look at that. 2 to 5% only are called for an interview. Okay. So what is important to know about the ATS and screening phase? Make sure that you have the right keywords, the right formatting, because the algorithm really has to play in your favor. Okay, that's really important. So the ATS will screen already some people that should continue in the process and the people who should not continue in the process. Maybe you are qualified, but if you don't have the right keywords, you already did not make the cut. Then recruiter, the ATS already selected a few resumes for me. As a recruiter, I'm going to review those resumes. Let's say out of 200 resumes, it filtered down to 30 resumes. Now I'm going to do my recruiter screen. When we say the recruiter screen, I'm scanning the resume. I open the resume within the system and I am scanning for the right keywords. I want to see if that resume resonates with the job description that I have in hand. So what do I want to see? I want to see that you have the experience, that you have the skills that I'm looking for. And where do I want to see that? At the top of your resume. If this is buried, like within your resume, within your experience in the page 2, like very small, I'm not going to read it. There is a rule, and it's actually there's actually data that shows that a recruiter usually makes a decision within 7 seconds. So I have 7 seconds to decide if I'm going to continue reading your resume or not. So think about that when you are doing your resume, okay? So let's say you went through my screen, I invited you for an interview went great, and you go past for the technical and the case and the closing interview. So here I want to say that preparation is absolutely is essential, okay? Use the CAR methodology or STAR methodology, because in Canada, it is very important for you to provide context about what you are talking about. So it's not about just like, oh yeah, I am a great recruiter. No, like that doesn't say much. I'm going to say, I've been working in recruiting for almost 20 years. I've recruited end to end for technology, finance, blah, 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 blah. I've recruited from analysts up to executive roles. So you're going to give examples. So last time that I was at Accenture, I was recruiting lead for the technology group and I did XXX. So the CAR methodology is context, action, result. Thaisa, if you're around, can you just type there in the chat for me, please? CAR, the context, action, and result, just so everyone remembers that. So you provide a context, where you were, what you were doing. the action. What have you done? That shows that you have that experience, that skills. And the R is the result. So what happened as a result of your being in the in the situation. So that is absolutely must for your interview preparation. And then we get to the final stage, offer and background check. Yes, you can and should negotiate your offer. In Canada, that is normal, that is almost expected. Obviously, throughout the whole process, people are going to ask you your expectations, so you should be able to say that. But at the end, it is also important for you to negotiate. Obviously, if you're happy with the offer, that's totally fine. No need to do so, but there is no problem in doing if that's what you're looking for. Also, keep in mind in Canada, most of the companies they run the background check. The background check, most of the offers are conditional upon you passing background check. So background check can be your education background. It can be if your last employment. So they will call your last employments to see if you actually did what you said you did in your resume. They will call to say if you stay there during that period of time. So that's important why your resume has to be very accurate as well. Okay. And that has been circumstances where people do not pass the background check, so the offer is pulled. That's very rare, but it could happen. Okay, so that's why it's very important. If you are currently employed, that's what I always say to my clients. If you are currently employed, do not resign until you receive a clearance on your background check, because something can go wrong and then they might pull the offer. Okay, so with all that said, we're thinking about the selection process, right? Like, how do we go, like the interview process for all these steps? There's so many filters. It is very key and very important right now. It's for you to connect with someone in the company. I love what Chris was saying here. They start playing premium just so to build connections and get those referrals. It is tough, Chris. I'm not going to lie. It is tough. Continue. Just so you know, we have an actual rate of 10 to 15% of people that actually reply to messages on LinkedIn. However, 10% still does. So continue trying, because at some point, someone is going to reach out to you and they're going to be open for a coffee chat, and that's how you're going to build connections. If you connect with someone at the company, and here I'm saying like you don't even need to know them yet, you're going to build that connection, your chances here, they increase significantly. So you get out of those 2 to 5% and you start getting to this 80% of the jobs that are in the what we call hidden market. What does that mean? It means that more than 80% of the roles right now worldwide, they are closed through networking. They're closed through referrals, through someone that knows someone, through someone that you maybe you just apply for the role, but you found someone on LinkedIn and you sent them a message, or you saw that you have someone that is oh my god, that is related to you that can maybe introduce you to. So that is already how you position yourself differently than everyone else, because everyone is applying, but they're applying and praying that someone is going to call them. But you have to go the extra mile. You have to go and try to build those connections. If you only rely on applying to jobs on Indeed and LinkedIn, you'll limit your opportunities in 20%. And then remember that what we just talked about, the 2 to 5%, then you are at 2 to 5% out of those 20. So it's very, very minimal chances that you find your job through applications. I actually want you to think right now, and if you want to put in the chat, feel free to do so. But how many of you actually found your jobs through networking? Your last job. Think about your last job in Canada or the previous job. Did you find them through a connection or just applying for the role? Because I think that already says too much. Again, we ran a data for my clients for last year for throughout 2025, 100% of my clients, all of them that got an offer was through someone that introduced them to someone, or someone that they were able to connect on LinkedIn. It was not just applying and getting a call. So I think that shows already how the market is built. Okay, let's start thinking about now, how then do you build the network? Give me a minute, I just need a water. All right. I see here someone networking. Okay. Um, how do you build your network? Most of you could be immigrants, maybe some not, but it doesn't matter if you were born in Canada or if you just arrived or if you've been here for a while. Networking is not about asking for a job, is actually about building relationships. So the way actually I want you to think about LinkedIn, in fact, is not just a job platform, it's actually a relationship building platform. We're going to talk a bit about that in a few minutes. But how do you find people? So this is a list of actually a bunch of things that you can do to build your network in Canada right now. So you can find people on LinkedIn. Okay. You can start just a few ideas. I'm just going to throw them out there. I hope you're taking notes. You can literally go to LinkedIn. Let's say that you are currently working in banks and you want to continue working in banks. You want to make sure that you're following all banks within LinkedIn, all the bank pages or all financial institutions. I want to make sure that you're following them. And I would like for you to start probing people who work within those companies, and you start connecting with them. People might think, oh my God, I'm going to look like a stalker. Like, it's okay. That's the game. You got to play the game. Let's go. Nobody's thinking, oh, like, who's this person? Like, it's okay. Just send a message, try to find something in common with them to make things easier. But LinkedIn is your best tool to network in Canada. Obviously, university and college. So if by any chance you had a college degree here, or if you went to university, go back to your professors, go back to the assistant teachers, they'll go back to the people that worked with you. And you might be thinking, oh, but they're all in the same situation, they're also looking for a job. It's okay, because they know people. Remember, it's not about these people finding jobs for you, it's about them having you in mind and connecting you through someone. Okay. Alumni events, those are great events. A lot of universities, they do that. Industry events. So for example, I usually go to a lot of HR events. I love doing those. I think it's very important. So let's say again, if you are in project management or if you are in finance, try and find industry related events so you can connect with colleagues, and these people are going to show you the way. Okay. Job fairs, those tend to be iffy. Some of them are good, some of them not really good. But I think it's always important. You never know who you're going to find. It can, maybe you're there for 2 hours and you find one contact that open your doors. That's already good. That's already great enough. Okay. The meetups. So there's actually a platform called meetup.com, and you can go there and you can type and see what are the events happening around you or your area. You can put an area of interest. So let's say that I like, I don't know, music, and I play piano. So I want to see whoever plays piano in Toronto, and I want to connect with those people. So you go through a hobby and you meet other people, and them can, like, that's how you start broadening your network. That's how you start creating relationships here. Professional associations, absolutely. So think about the CPAs, the CHROs, like all those professional associations. They are important, and they usually do a lot of events. So I think it's very important for you to start thinking about affiliating to some of those, if they make sense to you, if you are in an industry that requires and has some professional associations. The Brazilian community here, for example, I added because I know there's a lot of Brazilians here too today. Through the Brazilian community, through the Brazilian events, you can build your network, and through your hobbies too. So let's say you do CrossFit, as I know there are some of you here that also do. You can talk about what you're looking for within your group of friends, within people that work with you and that they work out with you, and that can lead to opportunities. So a simple approach that I usually send on LinkedIn, this is here on the screen for you. Feel free to take a photo, a screenshot. If you want to send a message on LinkedIn, it's literally like, hey, I just came across your profile. I really appreciate how you've grown in your career. I'm just starting my career right now, or I've been actually doing the same as you've been doing. I would love to have a chat and learn more about you. People love talking about themselves. So make it about them. Ask about them. Ask what they're doing, how they went there, how they grew in their career, how they developed their career. That it makes a huge difference and people love it. So I want to see more coffee chats than hours behind the laptop. Again, those are important. You still need to apply. Don't take me wrong. You will have to do that. You will have to customize your resume for every particular role that you're applying to. However, I want to see more coffee chats. All right. Feel free to type in the chat if there's any questions about networking. If not, I'm just going to move forward because we have a bunch of things to cover here today. And now we're going to talk about resumes. Okay. In Canada, a Canadian resume, it's not to tell you specifically your story, it's to get an interview. Okay. There's a very specific goal. I want to see the right keywords. I want to see you linking your resume to the job description so it's very clear for me as a recruiter that you are a fit for that role. Okay. Again, there is one thing. I had a lead back at Accenture that he used to say something that always that I never forgot. He said, "We have to avoid people to do mental gymnastics." What does that mean? Make the person's life easier. If I am the recruiter, I want to see a resume that clearly shows that you are a fit for that role. If your resume is confused, it's confusing, like if the formatting is not right, if that you're not using simple language, if you're not showing that you have that experience, you're making my life hard, and I need to think beyond the 7 seconds to make a decision if I want to proceed with reading your resume or not. And most likely they will move forward to the next candidate. So it is very important to keep the format simple, 1 to 2 pages, no photo, no personal information. A lot of people come here, let's say especially from Latin America, Marina Dantas, married, Toronto, open to relocation. Like, no, you don't need personal information. You don't need marital status, nationality, nothing like that. Photo, no, absolutely no. Okay. And here I'm saying no table charts and graphics, and I'll explain you why. Because the system, the ATS, the applicant tracking system, reads words, okay? It reads text. That's why I suggest people to send your resume in a Word document. I know this is counterintuitive. A lot of people just use PDF. I can understand from a format perspective. However, if you want the system to read your resume as a text, sending in Word is the best option for you, because Word is a text-based document. So basically, think about a matching. Okay, the robot is doing a matching with a text. When you are PDFing a document, it creates a graphic, so it might create image. So then the system might not read your resume the best way. So that's why I always suggest to do in Word. Okay, I have a question here. Do you think jobs can, let me see, is actually helpful for tailoring resume in each job application? I always use to check match percentage for every role. Yeah, Chris, I think there are the better ways that you can actually do that through actually even ChatGPT or Claude, you doing that yourself without having to pay for JobScan. I've seen some matches from JobScan not being actually very accurate. So I personally don't love JobScan, but I think you can actually do that yourself. And I think it's way more accurate. Okay. Um, I love your question. Yes, I love bolding keywords in your resume. I'm actually going to show you one. Let me see if I have that one here open with me right now. But I'm going to share a few resumes with you right now, and I'm going to show you a good resume, and I'm going to show you a not so great resume. Violeta, yes, the Word and PDF situation is not a lot of people talk about it, but it's game changer. Believe me, use Word, and I can guarantee you that you're probably going to pass way more to first screen interviews because the system will read better your resume versus PDF. Just think about that. Like, think of when you have a PDF, take the PDF, copy and paste somewhere. You see how it comes all broken, all the format. It's crazy, right? Because again, it's not a text document. It becomes a graphic and a picture document. So that's why. All right, so I actually want to show some of you sent resumes, and I promised that we were going to do some. Share this tab. That we're going to do the whole thing. Let's go to the practical things. The reason why I'm showing the resume as is because this person, Julia, she particular shared the resume with us, so I'm sure she's okay with the name and all that. All the other resumes I already scribed everything, so there is no data, no personal information. She personally share her resume, and she was open to share with everyone on the call. So I appreciate that. And honestly, I'm glad that is actually a very good resume, because can you imagine if it was not a good one? And I'm going to have to talk about how bad the resume was, and the person is here in the call. So first of all, congrats. I think it's a really good resume, and I'll explain why. Okay, I'm just going to point it out a few things that I think she did really well, and I want to showcase here. All right, there are a few things, Julia, that I'm gonna call it out. I think you can improve a little bit more, but I think it would be absolutely great. All right, so first of all, I love how it's professional. She was able to use color is still to um, you know show a little bit of her character, show a little bit of personality, okay? Because what else is just like text, all black. And I personally really like the color here. I think that's no problem at all. So I think she did a really good job here. I love that she was able to put a title to her resume. Okay, so, and here, this is what I would suggest. For every resume that you're applying for, sorry, for every role that you're applying, you need to change this title right here. So here she has customer services specialist and customer care specialist. So I'm sure this is like a generic resume that she probably uses. So if she is applying, so let's say this is your resume. If you are applying for a role, and actually the role it's called customer services associate, it's basically the same thing, isn't it? However, I want you to change it to write the exactly the same customer service associate. Marina, but it's the same thing as a specialist. Doesn't matter. Mental gymnastics, remember, make the recruiter life easier. So, customer service associate. Okay, so she has her phone, information, blah, blah, blah. All great. You not, don't necessarily need to show that, Julia. Like, you don't need to do this. Um, is I think it makes it easier because of like if your recruiter is seeing kind of like it takes a little bit of the question for them. But I don't think I would put that here at the top. Maybe I would put here at the bottom of your resume. Okay, because honestly, in Canada, it's not even legal to ask for this. So, for example, a person in in a interview, they can ask if you are open or if you are authorized to work in Canada, which is what she has here right now, which is great. But they can never ask you, oh, do you have a PR or do you have a work permit? They can never ask you this. Okay, so just so you guys know, if that comes to you, it's a red flag, because it's people are not legally authorized to ask this question to you. Not any recruiter, they cannot ask this question. All right, so here we have a professional summary. You don't even need to have that professional summary. If you want, you can just like literally just have that. The professional summary is where I think you have a great opportunity to bold a few words here, because remember, as a recruiter, I am scanning your resume and I just want to look into the things that make sense to me. This resume is text heavy, which means that there's a lot of text here. If I look into this, I'm like, oof, what I'm going to go and read first, right? So first thing that I'm reading is the title, which I already like it and it makes sense. And here I would like to see some of the summary. All right. So I want to bold a few questions here. Sorry, a few words. And the words that I'm bolding are the words related to the job description. Okay, so let's say that they say that they need someone with B2B experience. So I would bold the B2B experience. I would bold, that they have the Salesforce and CRM, SAP, if that's something that they are asking in the job description. So whatever they are asking in the job description, and here, Chris, back to your question about job scan, this is an area that everyone should highly customize to the job description. This top area is where I really want to see the customization to the job description and on the core competencies as well. Okay. So make sure that you bold a few words and it's matching the job description. I really like what you did here with the key achievements. You don't personally need to have a key achievements section. That could all be together with your summary. I don't want that big of a summary with key achievements, so I want this to be half. But you can kind of like build in on your achievements under your professional summary. Okay. So I would do something like that. I will put some of those achievements under the professional summary. And on the core competencies, I want them to be listed in relation to the job description. So let's say that in the job description, they're saying that the first thing that this person is going to be doing is to build the B2B account relationship management. So I want this point to be the first one in my resume because, again, priority of information. I want to read first what is the most important thing for that job description. I want, let's say again, that they use the CRM. So CRM should be the second bullet. The first contact resolution, maybe it's not going to even be here in this resume. Don't feel bad about cutting things out of your resume. It's okay. Just leave on your resume what is really important and is relevant for that role, especially if you have years and years of experience. Okay. So let's say, I don't even know how long she thinks since 2020, which is absolutely great. I have a resume here that I'm going to show that has 20 of experience. I don't want that in your resume. This is going to be in your LinkedIn, but not in your resume. Okay. So great job here, Julia. I think you did really good. Also the way she wrote is really important, guys. So think about that. If you look at a resume, you see a lot of numbers. I love that already because she's being able to prove what she has done. Okay. So supervise a team of 9 customer service representative, manage 400 people. This gives me the size and the complexity of the role that she was. Is not just a list of responsibilities. She actually did something and it shows me through those numbers. So I thought you did a really good job here in terms of showing those numbers and showing the complexity of the role. So she did that for all the roles, like 35 countries, 20 plus daily inquiries. So this all shows the complexity of the role. So really good job here. You don't even need that earlier experience if it's not related to the role. If the role has anything related to HR, sure, by all means. But if it's not, you can just remove that with no problem. And then the languages, I would put the languages all the way to the top here with your core competencies because that is a plus. It's the fact that you speak different languages. Okay. This part. Okay, so here she has, I don't know if everyone can see it, but it says open to customer service, customer care, customer support across industries. Those are all similar roles, right? However, if you are applying directly to a role, you do not need that sentence right there. If you are sending to a friend who might have your resume ready to send to someone else, sure, you can leave this in here. But if you're applying to a specific role, just remove that sentence because I want you to show that you're targeted, that you are looking for that specific role. Okay. All right. Great job. Really good job. I think you did amazing there. Let me show you guys a different resume that we picked here. Let me see if that's the one. I'm just going to show you one more. No, not this one. Let me show this one. Okay, this one is the one that I said that had first writing was horrible, was super text heavy, 3 pages. He had a lot of experience, but if you see here, experience showed like since 2007. Okay, 2007. That's been almost 20 years. Most likely, his experience as a senior business analyst in 2007 is no longer relevant for the role right now. 20 years have passed, 19 years have passed. So it's not relevant. So you should have in your resume the last 10 years of your experience. If you have more than that, obviously if you have less, no problem. But it's really important here to stay within that 10 years range and to be very specific in what is related to the role. So again, for example, here he was a project manager and then he was a business development manager, a business development manager. So let's say that he's applying for a BD role. This role here as a product manager, it might not really be necessary or be relevant. It's okay to remove, just remove, cut it down from your resume. It's fine. It's going to be in your LinkedIn. Nobody's going to touch that. But in your resume, it does not have to be there. That's another myth. A lot of people think your resume is a copy of your LinkedIn. It's absolutely not. It's not. So the resume is focused, it's sharp, it's targeted to the role. LinkedIn is your story. It's your personal professional story. Sorry, is your professional story in a social media platform that is related to work. So they are very different documents. A lot of people in the past, they used to go to LinkedIn and download the PDF of the LinkedIn and use that as a resume. Don't do that, okay? Because that is not how we do, and that's not how a recruiter. If as a recruiter I see a LinkedIn PDF document as a resume, that for me is already a big no. Okay, so I just wanted to show you guys in terms of this particular resume. Like there was no title here, so I'm not really sure what this is about. What is this role that they are talking and what they're really applying for? The skills, it's a bunch of skills. So this is more like keywords heavy than anything else. Like I don't know really where to look. And it's very busy in terms of text. But they did have a lot of like data, which is good, right? So it shows that they shows the complexity of the role, but the fact that they had 20 years of experience was already a killer for me. Okay, so just a few examples of resumes here. Let me go back to just a few examples of resume. Thanks for the ones who sent. I show, but I just for the sake of time, I just want to move forward because I want to show some LinkedIn. Actually, if you want me to review your LinkedIn live right now, ping your LinkedIn URL right now for me here on the chat because I'm going to go live and I'm going to share that with you. So let me know if you want me to review. I'm going to review 2 LinkedIn profiles, so you can ping right now in the chat. Okay. So I have a questions. Won't be weird the gap in the dates of the work. Marco, good question. What you can do. So let's say that specific situation on the product manager. Okay, so you can just either you have 2 options. You can either use as a transferable skills, and you can change the role title if it makes sense and if it's not a lie. Okay, so you can change to something that is more related to business development, or if that's not possible at all, you're going to leave as product manager and you're just going to put the dates and you're just going to create one line. Instead of having a big bulk of information, you're just going to create a one line saying something like, in this role, I was more focused on product manager, blah, 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 which helped me to develop skills for the business development role. So again, always trying to look back to where you want to be, but then you would just put a line instead of like taking a lot of real estate of your resume. Okay. All right. Networking. We already talked about that. We already talked about the resume. So now let's talk about LinkedIn. And again, ping me your LinkedIn URL if you want me to review your LinkedIn. If not, I'm just going to go and show myself my own LinkedIn and highlight a few things to you. As I mentioned, LinkedIn is more than a job platform. It is a place for you to connect. It is a place for you to position yourself, to show it's like your virtual business card, and for you to be found. That's the most important thing about LinkedIn. What I really hope for each and every one of you is that one day you wake up, you open your LinkedIn app, and there is someone inviting you for an interview. Hey, I just came across your profile. I think you're great for this particular role. Would you be open for an interview? I would love for everyone to have that. And how you're going to have this? Through a few tactics, through a few strategies that we can do. First of all, we need to optimize your LinkedIn. By optimizing your LinkedIn, there is more chances of you being found. There are a bunch of things that you can do. So not only the keywords, but also playing along with the algorithm. which means that you can at some point start engaging more with people. So let's go back to the example of someone who wants to work in a bank. You want to make sure that you're following all banks around your area. So let's say in Toronto, you're following RBC, you're following BMO, you're following TD, all Scotia, all of them. You want to make sure that you are engaging with their content. So LinkedIn works very similar to Instagram and very similar to all the social platforms. They're fighting for your attention. So the most time that the more you can spend within that tool, the better. Okay. They really want to focus, they want to keep you in that tool. And the most amount of time that you spend there, it's almost like you earn points with LinkedIn. And if you are doing the right things, if you are posting, if you are engaging, if you're giving, if you're liking, if you're writing comments in the posts, if you're connecting with people, if you're spending time daily on LinkedIn, you will show up higher than another person that is not doing those things. So you might not even pay for premium. My clients, they don't pay for premium. Okay. They always ask me, I usually say no, like they don't have to if they want to do it for just for the emails, because then you have more emails like to send to people, by all means, but it's expensive. It's not something that everyone can afford. You do not need to do that. There are a few things that you can do to play with the algorithm to support you. So a few things here that I want to call it out. Having a great photo and a strategic banner. If you have a good photo and a banner, there are 14 more chance for 14 times a recruiter is 14 times more willing to click on your resume on your LinkedIn and to review your LinkedIn. 14 times. This is a LinkedIn data. Okay, meaning if your LinkedIn profile it's not great right now, or if you don't really have a banner that speaks about you or speaks about what you do, you're missing a lot of opportunities here, because you have to think that differently from the resume. The LinkedIn is being read by a person. So there is that bias element, there is the subjective element. Okay. There is the algorithm for sure, which is how we're going to make sure that you optimize and you have the right keywords. However, there is the person element. So again, I am a recruiter. I look in LinkedIn and I see a great picture. The person is smiling, or like a light smile, guys. I'm not talking like crazy smile, but like, light smile, nice banner that kind of like emphasizes what they do. And they talk about themselves. I'm like, oh, I like this person already, right? So there is that empathy, that connection. You need to help to create that connection with the recruiter. Having a strategic headline is very important, not only for the recruiter, because then they can spot immediately what you do, but also for the algorithm, because the algorithm is going to find and it's going to find you through those keywords. Okay. A really well written about section. The about section is about your story and about your personality. So here you want to put a little bit of the character. You want to put a little bit of your tone. Okay, so if you're a more serious person, you want to keep it more tight, more serious. You want your tone of voice to be clear within that section, because again, you want the recruiter to kind of know who you are even before they talk to you. You want to be like the professional story, the professional experiences to be more storytelling. So they're not really like, bullet points. It's more like, in this role, I was doing this, I've learned this, I was promoted to this very quickly because of blah, 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 blah. So it's more storytelling. Again, remember, it's a social media platform. It's not a list of resumes, a list of the descriptions that you had similar that you have in your resume. Okay. Make sure that you have a personalized URL that talks a lot as well. It shows how proficient you are with LinkedIn. So you can change that in your profile, which shows, for example, it says LinkedIn / Marina Dantas. So then it shows that was personalized to you versus LinkedIn / HU13XYZ, blah, 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 like the huge phrase. It doesn't really speak to recruiters. So more than 90% of recruiters use LinkedIn as part of the selection process in Canada. So that's really, really important that your LinkedIn is the best. Okay. So I don't see any LinkedIn URLs here. So I'm just going to show mine, you guys. Hopefully it's in good shape, right? You can imagine. All right, so here I have a professional picture. Okay, I'm, light smile. I'm looking at the camera. The banner in my case, obviously, is for my company because I represent, like, I want my company to be seen. But let's say that I was just an HR professional. I could just have a banner here related to something in HR. I could have like people engaging, talking, or let's say that I want to position myself as an authority in my role and I want to be like a leader, for example. I could just have maybe a picture of me speaking in one event or like a lecture that that I gave in the past, like me with a microphone. That shows power, that shows leadership. So here in your banner you can have something like that. Here I have my keywords, right? So I'm going to be found through those keywords, which is absolutely important. I want you to have way more followers. Like if you are having, like if right now you have about 500 followers, I want you to have more followers. I want you to have more, sorry, not followers, connections. Okay. I really want to, you guys sent the URL through Taisa. If you did receive, please send it to me on WhatsApp and I will open on my end if you can just send me at least one. Okay. Sorry, guys, it didn't come through to me. Okay, so my about section. I just want to show you this very quickly. So here I'm talking like I'm passionate. I somewhat like look at me. I'm talking with my hands, right? Like that's how I do. That's how I am. So if you want an HR professional that is like very uptight, that is going to be like thinking all about the legislations and the policies and all those things, like I'm not your person. I'm going to be the one creating processes for you. I'm creative. Like I want things to be that way. So I want that storytelling really clear here. So here I talk about that I'm from Brazil, blah, blah, blah. And I even say like at the end, I put a fun fact about myself. Like a lot of people can do that. You can do whatever you want. But here I said, fun fact, if you didn't notice by now, I use a lot of exclamation marks. But that's how I talk, right? Like I talk with exclamation marks. I write with exclamation marks. So that way, like just by reading my bio here, people can say, wow, that's a passionate person, an engaging person, because the way that I wrote. So anyways, like here you can see all these skills. It is really important for you to try and have skills related to your job search. The posts here, when as a recruiter, you can see the activity of the person. So for example, if I am reviewing someone, I want to see when was the last time that they post. So Marina posted 5 days ago. She posted 6 days ago. I want to see what kind of comments that she makes. Recruiters, they look into those things. So here, then you see all the experience. And then here, as I mentioned, it's all storytelling. Okay. During my 7 years at Accenture, blah, 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 blah. And then you have all the information here. So again, this is just an example. Oh, recommendations. A lot of people ask me about recommendations. If you have them, that's great. Some recruiters read it, not everyone, okay? But if you need to pick something that you cannot miss on your LinkedIn, absolutely not. This, okay? This part. You have to nail this part. Because again, if you have a good photo, a good banner, and if your head, it's good. Like if your headline is good, that's really it's really gonna take you to to the right places, and recruiters are gonna find you. All right. Let me see if anything came through. Okay, well, yes, I don't see the URLs either, but if you guys see, please drop here. I'm just continue with my Camila VR. Let's try and find the Camila. See the importance of having the URL, because then we can easily find Camila VR. Oh, there you go. Is that you, Camila? I hope so. Okay. Camila, not imagine. I think the first thing that shows me here is the location. So think about it. I am a recruiter. Camila just applied for this role, and I look and I'm like, oh, she's in Brazil. Then I'm already double questioning. Like, is she already in Canada? Did she move? Is she in Brazil, but she wants to move to Canada? Already too many questions. And again, like, make the life easier. So those are a few things that you can change. And guys, already, like, I'm, Camila, I'm just going to say a few things that might not be absolutely great, but again, my goal here is to please know that I'm having the best intentions to really ensure that you have a great LinkedIn moving forward. So reasons why I would do those things. So I like the animation here with the banner. The photo is great. You have your front feeling. Love the animation. Really good job. So again, I'll change the location because also from an algorithm perspective, it's really important for, like, so for example, again, if I'm a recruiter, I'm looking for persons in Canada, people in Canada, you wouldn't show up in my search because your location is in Brazil. Okay, so this is really important to change. Another thing, Faculdade Melis, for example, or pinging content. Faculdade Melis I imagine this is in Brazil. This is not well known in Canada. So it doesn't make sense to have that faculdade. This is a university, guys, just so you know, that it doesn't make sense to have the university listed here at the top of your profile because well known for the Canadian market. So remember that we need to speak the language of the Canadian market, that it won't say anything to the recruiter. They won't know if this university is a good one or not. Okay. So here there was an opportunity to add more skills and more things to your headline as well, things that are related to your job search. All right. On the about section, same thing. It's too short. I would like to see a little bit longer because again, I want to have this as opportunity to have more skills and keywords. Think that with LinkedIn, you don't have a max number of characters that you can have. So the most that you have, it's best for you because they're going to count as keywords and they're going to come across and help you to be found. Okay. So I would definitely add more things on the about section and on the headline. I love how you did the feature. So great use of the feature, especially because you're animator. So here, I'm sure here is a link for your portfolio so people can right away click and see, how good it is. The location. You can, if you are in Vancouver and if you don't plan to move from Vancouver, just have Vancouver and the area around you, unless you are looking to be hired or move anywhere in Canada, then you put Canada. But ideally, you want to put a city that you are in. That's usually how people do their searches. Okay. The activity, that's great. I see that you already, that you post something, that you're doing something. I can go to comments here and I can see how, how engaged she was. So shows that she's engaging, that she's doing her part on LinkedIn, which is really good. And then here, this is more, this is a little bit more text based and more like the descriptions. I would just try and do a little bit more on like a storytelling versus just a list of things. Okay. All right. Let's see the skills. Oh, skills. You can have up to 50 skills. So you only have 22. So I would do a better use of your skills. Try and have more and ask people to endorse you. The endorsement on skills is literally to give a like on your skills. The reason why I cannot like you right now is because I'm not a first connection yet. So let's make sure that we're connected. And then I'll be able to, give you a like in each of those skills. So try and have, guys, once you have your skills set, ask people around you, people that worked with you, to like your skills, because recruiters, they also do searches based on skills. So if you have really a high number of endorsements in one skill, that is going to show first than others. Let me just show that on my own profile, just so you understand what I'm talking about. In the meantime, I'm just going to do one more. For the sake of time, I am okay to stay like 10 more minutes, but I just want to make sure that everyone's okay with that too. If you guys are okay with that, just stay because a few more minutes. Time goes fast. Okay, good. I want to show you the skills. Okay, skills. All right. So I have about 56 skills. All right. So let's say that they're looking for someone with executive search. Okay, good. Happy that you guys are staying. I'll stay too. All right. On executive search, I only have 2 endorsements. Okay. So if they are looking for someone with executive search, most likely my profile will not come to the top of that search. However, if they're looking for someone with, there's one that I have a bunch here. What is it? Here, like management, for example. Okay, I have 48 endorsements. So it means that I am good at management. So people, if they type as management, I will likely show up here as the top candidate in a recruiter search because of the amount of endorsements that I have. For example, HR policies, I have 10 endorsements. So all of that speaks to my skills, and that puts me in a higher rank than compared to other people. Okay. Marco. Let's do one more. So let's go to Marco. Marco Oscar. And like Violeta, I saw that you showed, you also shared. We're probably not going to have time for that. However, feel free to just message me on Instagram or on WhatsApp, and I'll be happy to. I'll share a video and audio, and I'll send it to you or anyone else who, for that matter. Okay, so I see here in Toronto area, so this is a bit more specific, so that's great. I see here the keywords, which is absolutely great. So here it automatically shows me that he's in procurement, that he's an MBA student right now. He's looking for nonprofit. So you do not need to have the open to specific part here, because there's actually a way for you to set up that, Marco, within your settings. When you go to your settings, you can say open to, and then you put the list of roles that you're open to, but not necessarily you need to have this in here. This you're missing, you're actually taking opportunity to add more keywords to write some things that are not specifically related, unless you just say, procurement, admin, and customer services. That's it. Okay. However, I want to point something out here. I think this is really, really important about Canada. Canada is a very specialist, is a market that focuses on specialists. So, for example, when I look at Marco's profile, I know first thing he says is procurement operations. Okay, I understand. I can see that already. But then he says admin and customer services. Okay, wait. Does he want procurement or does he want customer service? So I understand, Marco, that you might be open for all of those things, but as a recruiter, I get confused. I am not sure what you're trying. Like, it gives me a signal of like, okay, maybe he's desperate. He wants anything and he's okay with anything. But at the same time, I think it's better. I know it might sound crazy that I want you to just focus in one thing. And I can guarantee you that you're likely going to achieve that faster than if you open for something else. So be more specific on your target role and what you're looking for, because I want to see that consistency across your LinkedIn, and by all means in your resume too. If I see like different things all over, I'm not going to know exactly what you want. Okay, so my suggestion here is for you to just focus on one specific area versus to show all of these other areas that are not relatable. All right, then we have here the about section. So yeah, this is way more storytelling, professional journey, past 15 years. I think you have the right stuff here. This, like showing the emojis, it tells me that was done by ChatGPT or like an AI. That's no problem at all. Like, I use ChatGPT all the time. I've used in mine and I have no problems with that. But let's try and use a little bit of your language. So for example, those dashes too, they're very clear they were done by AI with the emojis. So I would try and change that and try to use a little bit more of your language. So do on AI, but then just like throw a little bit of your language just to show a little bit more of your tone versus an AI tone. Okay. But looks to me here that you used a lot of the keywords, which again is important because it's going to bring you to the top of the searches. top skills. All right, very important, especially for my fellow Brazilians or anyone else that is not from Canada. You have mixed skills or mixed languages in the same profile. So here you have English, and then here in one of the skills you have Portuguese. You have Portuguese, and then you have English in here. So this actually confuses the algorithm. The algorithm, because the recruiter is looking for example, contracts. They're not looking for contratos. So that is going to confuse the algorithm. So you're not going to show, or you're not going to effectively be placed well, not even in Brazil or in Canada. So just do a cleanup on your LinkedIn and make sure that everything is in English. You can actually duplicate your profile and have another profile in Portuguese if that's what you want. But in one profile, just make sure that you have all the same language throughout the same profile. Okay, that plays a you can have both languages, but two different profiles. Okay. And then here it shows, like, usually gives you an option here. Like if the person has two profiles, it gives you an option if you want to read in English or in Portuguese, but you can set up your main profile to be in English, because if you are in Canada, obviously you want that to be in English. Okay. So here you see a post. So yeah, he did a post 6 days ago. So this is really good. And then here it shows a little bit of the things that he did on his procurement specialist role. Again, this is a bit more list based. So I would like to see a little bit more storytelling here, Marco, if that's okay. One thing too, this is also very important for Brazilians. We tend to think that we cannot change the titles, okay? In Canada, yes, you can change the title. We don't have a carteira de trabalho in Canada. No, in Canada. So meaning we don't have a specific place where people go and there is a booklet where they see all your past experience. In Canada, they're gonna, like, remember what I told you in the beginning about the background check part? They're gonna call your previous employer to see if you were employed by that company, what was the role, etc., etc. But for the sake of putting titles in your LinkedIn on your resume, you can change that slightly. So here I see a lot of procurement, like you did a lot of procurement, but then the QA role, it's a little bit outside of what you were doing before. So let's try and find a title for the QA role that kind of like brings you closer to the procurement, because then it helps on the consistency of your LinkedIn. Okay. I love the volunteering. Volunteering makes a huge difference in Canada. So make sure that you add that if you have those experiences. Skills, yes, add those and ensure that you have some endorsements here. Sounds good. Okay, good job. Oh, also love the picture, love the banner. Great job here. Didn't comment that. Love the and this shows me that you're in Toronto, right? So great job here on the banner. I think you have all the right things. You can just tweak some stuff here a little bit there, and just especially as it relates to being targeted to something. Okay. All right, let's just go back to, but I just want to talk a little bit about the interviews. So interviews is as important as having the right resume and the right LinkedIn. So if you have that right, it's going to take you to the interview. That's the goal. That's what we want at the end of the day. We want a job offer, but for that you need to go through the interview. So on the interview, I would like for you to think that it's very important how you present yourself, how you position yourself, and the soft skills that you bring to the table. Way more than the technical skills. Those you can show your experience through CAR, like as I mentioned, which is context, action, result. But I want more than that. I want you to show your ability to introduce yourself, to present yourself. So it's really, really important to have a very strong introduction as you start your interview. I would like for you to prepare stories. So again, back in that day, in that company, blah, blah, blah. And if the company is not from Canada, that's totally fine. Don't overemphasize that you don't have Canadian experience. First of all, it's forbidden to ask for Canadian experience right now. That's a new law that came. People might look into this, but don't say like, oh yeah, my experience was in Brazil. Don't say those things. You can just say, I worked in a manufacturing company where we had 600 employees. You don't need to say specifically where it is or anything like that, but just give the context, okay? And always have ready some examples to show your leadership, conflict management, learnings, teamwork, or relevant achievements for that particular role. The way you prepare yourself for an interview is to have a job description in front of you, and you're going to be highlighting everything that they're asking for, and you're going to just be pulling arrows on what example that you have from your experience that translates to what they're asking in the job description. If you do that, you can ace any interview. Any interview. Also come with very strong introduction and strong questions to ask at the end. That's really important. If and when I say strong questions, I don't want to say, like, I don't want it to be like at the end, oh, so do you have any questions for me? Yeah, what are the next steps? No, that's not the type of question I want you to ask. I wanted to ask questions like, tell me about the team dynamics, or how this role came about. Why are you guys hiring? Interview the company too. Don't think that you're the only one who's being interviewed. You need to know if you actually would like to stay in that company, if that company makes sense to you, if the culture makes sense to you. So you need to ask a few questions to ensure that you have those answers. And interview process is the best way. Think of like a dating process, right? Is you're going to be asking them questions, they're going to be asking you questions, and always try to come back to you. So for example, if you ask a question, something like, oh, tell me a little bit about the team culture, and then the recruiter can go back to you and say, well, the team it's great, it's like very open doors policy. We come to the office once or twice a week, but at the end of the day we end up coming more because the team is very united, blah 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 blah. You can you lose an opportunity if you just say okay, thanks, and move on to the next question. No, like as soon as you receive that answer, use that to say something about you. So it's going to be kind of like a ping pong match. Okay. So as soon as they say that about the cultures, and you can say, oh, that's amazing. That's exactly how I try. Like I thrive in environments like this. I thrive in environments where I can be, I can talk to everyone. I can be open doors. I can just pull someone and ask a question. That's how I am at my best. So here you're already selling yourself. You're already saying about something about yourself that you don't need to use a question or to say something too cocky about you, but you're kind of like throwing that in there just by saying those things. So interview deserves its own webinar because there's so much we can talk about it. There's so much we can say. I personally love to do interview prep. I think that's where I see the most change, and that's where I see the most results with people, where they go from like, talking like, oh, and then reading, reading the script on the resume and just like very, not like not confident, and then just coming and talking more, more confidently about their experience and about what they do, and being more that. So, well, here I see someone saying like, I have many second rounds of interviews but no offers. This is a great point. So which means, so if I need to say something, your resume is probably good because you are coming through. Okay, you are going to you're going through the process. The system is filtering you, so you're good. Recruiters is liking what they're seeing. They're inviting you for the first interview, and they're doing a first good HR interview. If you're not going through the second interview, if you're not passing from the second to the third, or to the second to the offer, means that it's probably more technical. Okay, because the second interviews, they tend to be more technical and they tend to be with the hiring managers. So here it tells me that maybe you need to prepare better examples in terms of your technical skills, in terms of your experience, and in terms of proving that you can do the job. Maybe they're not feeling the confidence that they need, or maybe you are lacking a few skills that you're not being able to share. So think about that. If you want to talk more, ping me on the side and we can take a look at that. Okay. What a strong introduction looks like. I mean, what are the most important things to mention? A structure to follow. I actually have a structure to follow, Julia. You can ping me as well on the side. Thais, I can share that with you after. But it's more about thanks for having me. My name is Marina, and I'm gonna emphasize the first three bullet points that I saw in the job description. So let's say in your case, like customer service. And I would say something like, I've been working as a customer service specialist for the last 10 years, and managing relationships and being the escalation point for all the companies that I've been, blah 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 blah. So here I would start with a strong. It's literally 30 seconds. Then you're going to get to the detail. But what I really wanted to cover here is the 30 seconds that is related to the first three bullet points of the job description. Do that, and you have a strong introduction. There is more to this, but at least this is a little bit of what we can do. Okay. Do's and don'ts, just so we can start, closing things off. Be strategic and focus on your search. So instead of like applying to every job and applying to every single thing that you see, tailor your resume to the goal and your LinkedIn to the goal. I want you to be specialist. We already talked about that. Instead of just being generic or using generic profiles, invest time in networking and in professional relationships. Don't just apply online and wait for someone to call you. And be patient, be consistent, be resilient. I understand that it can be very frustrating, especially because I saw some of you being in the job hunt for 6 months or more. I understand, especially after rejections, like being to first, second interview and nothing, an offer never coming to you. That hurts. I get it. I really get it. And I think when I work with my clients, I really say that I work with more than just like doing your resume, because I work with even more the emotional side of things, because I know how hard it is. But what I would say is like, be consistent, be patient. If you continue doing the right things, if you continue with the right strategy, you're going to get there. So, and always remember too that there is a specific time for the market to respond to you. And it's totally fine that this is going to take at least 3 months. Think of 3 months as a really good time frame, but more than that, it's something that we need to start thinking about it. Okay. What we said the whole time here is that the market in Canada, it does value clarity, it does value the relationships that you built. It shows that they appreciate results, right? It shows that they appreciate communication. So even when you are interviewing, obviously they are looking for your technical skills, but they are looking how you're introducing yourself, how you're communicating. So the communication, the soft skills are really being also analyzed and also being assessed. The good thing is that we can, like, all those things can be learned, all those things can be directed and can be supported. That's how I've been supporting my clients with all the career planning, the resume, the networking, the career mentoring in general. And that's, and I'm so happy that I get to do that type of work, especially as I mentioned to you guys, I do the HR work for my clients, but I also have my individual clients. And so just so you all know, I do this full time. I have my clients, the companies that I work for, when I support them as HR professional, but then I have my individual clients. So people like you that are looking for jobs, that want to position themselves better, I work with them on like personalized career strategy, on mentoring, coaching. Maybe they just need a LinkedIn optimization and we just go there and make a LinkedIn optimization. Maybe they just need an interview prep. There's a lot of people just come back to, interview prep and interview mocking. There is a lot of people that come to me of like salary negotiation, like, Marina, what do I do? Like, what do I say? Can I say this? Can I say that? Is this email okay? Like, do I do this by the phone? So a lot of things that I work with my clients are related to those areas. And I am opening 8 slots in July. So aside of the work that I do with the companies, I do that work with my, career coaching as well. So this is the QR code in the screen. Thaisa, you can also ping, please, the link directly to the website. So if you want to know more about the type of work that I do, if the type of work that I support my clients with, about the career mentorship program, it's individual. Thaisa, you can put the link here for me, please. And you can just click and learn a little bit more. we're going to connect with you. I don't want this to be just like, oh, go there, put in the cart and buy the product. That's not about this, because I really want to make sure that I can support you. If I believe that this is something that I cannot really do, or let's say if you're still in Brazil or outside of Canada, if you don't have a work visa right now, that becomes tough because of immigration right now, guys. Like it's hard if you're not already with an opportunity to work as with your work permit or with your PR or whatever it might be. So I really want to make sure that I can really support you guys. So please, scan the QR code, or you can just WhatsApp me directly and I'll reply to each and every one of you. I want to understand a little bit more about what you do, what you're going through, and how can I support you. So that is me. That's it for today. We really passed time, but I want to open for questions. I know we already answered a few questions as we went through, but just want to open for questions in the meantime, and maybe we'll stay here for a few more minutes. There was a question for... Oh yeah, Thaisa, thanks for adding more to the introduction. Yeah, everyone, guys, feel free to add me on LinkedIn. I would love to connect more with each and every one of you. That would be awesome. If there's any more questions, thanks, Christina, of course. I would love to, I can stay more, I can stay longer. This webinar is going to be available online as well, so you can always come back and watch. If there are a few more things that you want to know more, have you worked with scientists and PhDs? Yes, Violeta. So funny, because one of the resumes that I had to show, it was an academic resume. It was a 9-page resume that I wanted to show for one of you guys, and she's a PhD. It was a client. We did an amazing job with her. We actually reduced her we basically moved her academic resume of 9 pages to 2 pages, and she found a role in, I think it was 2 months. She went from academia to corporate, and she's thriving. She's doing really good. How to link resume with LinkedIn if I'm looking for different types of jobs? Yeah. So that's where I think that's where how I see your LinkedIn, maybe because you're trying like different jobs as well. I would choose one, Marco. Just choose one target role and just go with it. If let's say you're trying for customer service roles, leave your LinkedIn on procurement, and that's okay. But yeah, just try and stick to one lane. That will make a huge difference for you. I can guarantee. Okay. All right. If any or more questions, I would love to, I want to thank every one of you. Thanks for staying longer. I really appreciate it. This was a great conversation. I feel like I was talking to you guys here through the chat. It was a really lively chat. I appreciate it. Thanks for the ones who sent the LinkedIn and the resume and everything else. We'll be in touch. Feel free to reach out to me at any time. And again, scan the QR code or just message me on WhatsApp, and we'll be talking more. Okay. All have a good night, and thanks again. We'll talk soon.